What if an ancient man who lived thousands of years ago could see into our time? What if he warned us about the very things happening in our world today? This is the story of Enoch and his amazing visions that might be coming true right before our eyes. The mystery begins. Long ago, before the great flood that covered the earth, there lived a man named Enoch. He was not like other men. The Bible tells us something very special about him. It says that Enoch walked with God. But what does that really mean? And why should we care about what happened so long ago? Enoch lived in a time when giants walked the earth. Strange beings came down from heaven. The world was filled with evil and darkness. But Enoch was different. God chose him to see things that no other human had ever seen. God showed him visions of the future, visions of our time, visions of the year 2024. Today, as we look around our world, we see things that seem impossible. We see technology that looks like magic. We see wars and disasters everywhere. We see people talking about strange things in the sky. We see the earth changing in ways that scare us. Could it be that Enoch saw all of this coming thousands of years ago? The story of Enoch is not just an old tale from long ago. It might be the most important story for our time right now. Because if Enoch really did see visions of 2024, then we need to know what he saw. We need to understand what it means for us today. Some people say that ancient prophecies are just stories. They say that old books cannot tell us anything about our modern world. But what if they are wrong? What if the ancient wisdom holds the key to understanding everything that is happening around us right now? In this story, we will explore the amazing life of Enoch. We will discover his visions and prophecies. We will see how his ancient words might be describing our world today. We will look at the signs he said would come. And we will ask the big question: are we living in the time that Enoch saw in his visions? Get ready for a journey that will take you from the ancient world to today. A journey that might change how you see everything happening around you. A journey into the mystery of Enoch's vision of 2024. Who was Enoch? To understand Enoch's visions, we first need to know who he was. Enoch was not a king or a warrior. He was not rich or famous in the way we think of famous people today. But he was the most special man who ever lived, except for Jesus. The Bible tells us that Enoch was the seventh man from Adam. Adam was the first man God created. Then came Seth, then Enosh, then Kenan, then Mahalalel, then Jared, and then Enoch. So Enoch lived very early in human history, when the world was still young. Enoch lived for 365 years. That might seem like a very long time to us, but in those days, people lived much longer. Enoch's grandfather, Jared, lived for 962 years. His son, Methuselah, lived for 969 years and was the oldest man who ever lived. But here is what made Enoch special. The Bible says that Enoch walked with God. This means that Enoch had a very close friendship with God. They talked together. They spent time together. God shared his secrets with Enoch. When Enoch was 65 years old, he had a son named Methuselah. Something amazing happened when Methuselah was born. God began to show Enoch special visions. God began to reveal to him the secrets of heaven and earth. God showed him what would happen in the future. For 300 years after his son was born, Enoch walked with God and received these visions. Can you imagine talking with God every day for 300 years? Can you imagine all the things God would show you and tell you? Then something incredible happened. The Bible says that Enoch did not die like other people. Instead, God took him. One day, Enoch was walking with God, and he just went up to heaven while he was still alive. He never experienced death like everyone else. Only 2 people in the whole Bible never died. One was Enoch, and the other was Elijah the prophet. This shows us how special Enoch was to God. God loved him so much that he took him straight to heaven. But before God took Enoch to heaven, he showed him many visions. Enoch saw angels and demons. He saw the secrets of heaven. He saw how the world was created. He saw what would happen at the end of time. And he saw specific things that would happen in our day, in 2024. Enoch wrote down everything he saw. He wrote about his journeys through heaven. He wrote about the angels who rebelled against God. He wrote about the judgment that would come upon the earth. He wrote about signs that people would see before the end. These writings became known as the Book of Enoch. For thousands of years, people read this book and learned from it. Early Christians knew about it. Jewish people studied it. It was considered very important and very true. Enoch was called many things. Some called him a prophet because he could see the future. Some called him a scribe because he wrote down God's words. Some called him a preacher because he warned people about what was coming. But perhaps the best way to describe Enoch is as God's friend. He was the man who walked with God. He was the man God trusted with his greatest secrets. He was the man God chose to see the future and warn the world about what was coming. Now, thousands of years later, we are beginning to see that Enoch's visions might be coming true. The things he wrote about are happening in our world today. The signs he said would appear are appearing all around us. The hidden book. For many years, the Book of Enoch was lost. People knew it had existed because other old books talked about it. The Bible itself mentions Enoch and even quotes from his book. But the actual book seemed to be gone forever. Why did the Book of Enoch disappear? There are several reasons. First, some church leaders long ago decided not to include it in the Bible. They said it was too mysterious and hard to understand. They worried that people might get confused by all the talk about angels and visions. Second, the book talked about things that made some people uncomfortable. It described fallen angels who came to earth and caused trouble. It talked about giants and strange creatures. It described God's judgment in very scary ways. Some people thought it was better to hide these things from ordinary people. Third, the book was written in languages that became uncommon. Most copies were in Hebrew, Aramaic, and later in Ethiopic. As these languages became less common, fewer people could read the book. Eventually, it seemed to disappear completely. But God had a plan. In 1773, a Scottish explorer named James Bruce was traveling in Ethiopia. He found 3 copies of the Book of Enoch in the Ethiopian language. He brought them back to Europe, and scholars began to translate them. Later, more copies were found. In 1947, pieces of the book were discovered among the Dead Sea Scrolls in Israel. These were very old copies that proved the book was authentic and ancient. Today, we have access to the complete Book of Enoch again. We can read Enoch's visions for ourselves. We can compare what he wrote with what we see happening in our world today. The Book of Enoch is not like other books. It is divided into several sections, each describing different visions Enoch received. The first section tells about the Watchers, who were angels that came to earth. The second section describes Enoch's journey through heaven. The third section talks about astronomical secrets and the calendar. The fourth section contains prophecies about the future. The fifth section tells about the final judgment. Reading the Book of Enoch is like taking a journey with Enoch himself. You feel like you are walking with him as angels show him around heaven. You feel like you are beside him as he sees visions of the future. You feel like you are listening as God reveals his secrets. But the book is also challenging to read. It describes things that seem impossible. It talks about multiple heavens and strange creatures. It uses symbols and images that can be hard to understand. This is probably why some people long ago thought it should be hidden. However, as we look at our world today, many things in the Book of Enoch start to make sense. Things that seemed impossible to people long ago are happening now. Technologies that seemed like magic are real today. Events that seemed too strange to believe are occurring all around us. The Book of Enoch was hidden for a reason, but it was also revealed again for a reason. Perhaps God knew that we would need Enoch's wisdom in our time. Perhaps he knew that 2024 would be a year when people would need to understand these ancient visions. Some people still question whether the Book of Enoch should be studied. They worry about its mysterious content. But others believe that God is revealing it again because it contains important warnings for our time. Whether you believe every word of the Book of Enoch or not, one thing is clear. Its prophecies and descriptions match many things happening in our world today in remarkable ways. This makes it worth studying and understanding. Enoch's journey to heaven. One of the most amazing parts of Enoch's story is his journey to heaven. Unlike other prophets who saw visions while staying on earth, Enoch was actually taken up to heaven while he was still alive. There, he saw things that no other human had ever seen. Enoch describes this journey in detail. He tells us that angels came to get him and carried him up through the clouds. He traveled through different levels of heaven, each one more beautiful and amazing than the last. In the first heaven, Enoch saw the angels who control the weather. These angels were in charge of rain, snow, wind, and storms. They showed Enoch how weather works and how it affects the earth. This might seem simple to us now that we understand meteorology, but remember, Enoch lived thousands of years before science explained these things. In the second heaven, Enoch saw angels who had been punished for disobeying God. These were dark, sad places where fallen angels were kept as prisoners. Enoch was shocked by what he saw there. The angels begged him to pray for them, but he was told that some sins are too great for forgiveness. In the third heaven, Enoch saw the Garden of Eden, the paradise where Adam and Eve first lived. He saw the tree of life and the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. He learned that this garden still exists in heaven, waiting for righteous people to return to it. As Enoch traveled higher, he saw more amazing things. He saw huge angels with 6 wings. He saw creatures that looked like lions but had human faces. He saw wheels within wheels that moved in ways that seemed impossible. These descriptions sound very similar to what the prophet Ezekiel saw many years later. Finally, Enoch reached the highest heaven, where God himself lives. There, he saw God's throne, which was made of crystal and fire. Around the throne were thousands and thousands of angels singing praises. The light was so bright that Enoch could barely look at it. God spoke to Enoch from the throne. He explained many secrets about how the universe works. He showed Enoch the movements of the sun, moon, and stars. He revealed the calendar that heaven uses. He explained how time itself works. But most importantly, God showed Enoch visions of the future. He saw what would happen to the earth. He saw great disasters and wars. He saw times when evil would seem to win, but he also saw times when good would triumph. God showed Enoch specific signs that would appear before the end of the world. He showed him how people would behave in the last days. He showed him technologies that would be invented. He showed him changes that would happen to the earth itself. Enoch saw that there would come a time when people would be able to fly through the air like birds. He saw that they would be able to talk to each other across great distances instantly. He saw that they would create machines that could think like humans. He saw that they would have weapons that could destroy entire cities in moments. These visions amazed Enoch because they were so different from his world. In his time, people walked everywhere or rode animals. They communicated by sending messengers. They had simple tools and weapons. The things God showed him seemed like magic. But God told Enoch that these things would all be real someday. He said that when these signs appeared, it would mean that the end times were near. People in that future time would need to be warned about what was coming next. God also showed Enoch that there would be a time of great spiritual awakening. People all over the world would begin to seek God. They would become interested in ancient wisdom and prophecy. They would start to understand that there is more to life than just the physical world they can see. After seeing all these visions, Enoch was sent back to earth to write them down. He was told to preserve this knowledge for future generations. He was told that someday, when the signs began to appear, people would need to read his words and understand what was happening. Enoch spent the rest of his life on earth writing down everything he had seen and heard. He created a detailed record of his journey through heaven. He recorded all the prophecies God had shown him. He wrote down the warnings he was told to give. Then, when his work was finished, God took Enoch to heaven permanently. He never experienced death, but was translated directly from earth to heaven, just like Elijah would be many years later. The Watchers and Fallen Angels. One of the most important parts of Enoch's story involves the Watchers. These were special angels that God had assigned to watch over the earth and humanity. But something went terribly wrong with some of these Watchers, and their actions changed the course of human history. In the beginning, God created many different kinds of angels. Some angels stayed in heaven to worship and serve God. Others were sent to earth to be guardians and protectors of humans. These guardian angels were called Watchers because their job was to watch over people and keep them safe. The Watchers were very powerful angels. They had great knowledge and abilities that humans did not have. They could see into the future. They understood the secrets of heaven. They knew how to use spiritual powers that were far beyond human understanding. For a while, the Watchers did their job well. They protected humans from danger. They guided them in the right direction. They helped them learn and grow. The world was peaceful, and people lived in harmony with God and with each other. But then something changed. 200 of the Watchers began to look at human women and desire them. These angels, who were supposed to be pure spiritual beings, became attracted to physical, earthly things. They began to want what they were not supposed to have. The leader of these rebellious Watchers was named Semyaza. He convinced the others to join him in a terrible plan. They decided to leave their positions as Watchers and come down to Earth to marry human women. They made a pact together, knowing that what they were about to do was wrong. These fallen Watchers came down to Mount Hermon, which is on the border between Israel and Lebanon today. There they took human wives and had children with them. But because the fathers were angels and the mothers were humans, their children were not normal humans. They were giants, much larger and stronger than regular people. The giants were called Nephilim, which means fallen ones. They were not just big in size, but also had supernatural abilities like their angel fathers. They were incredibly strong and could do things that amazed and frightened regular humans. But the problems did not stop there. The fallen Watchers began to teach humans things they were not supposed to know. They taught them how to make weapons of war. They taught them about makeup and jewelry and vanity. They taught them magic and sorcery. They taught them about drugs and potions. Each fallen Watcher had his own specialty. Azazel taught humans how to make swords, knives, shields, and armor. Barakiel taught astrology. Kokarel taught about signs and portents. Tamiel taught astronomy. Asradel taught about the phases of the moon. At first, humans were excited to learn these new things. The knowledge seemed wonderful and powerful, but soon it led to terrible problems. People began to fight with the new weapons. They became vain and selfish. They started practicing magic instead of worshipping God. They became obsessed with reading the stars instead of trusting in God's plan. The giants became tyrants who oppressed regular humans. They were violent and cruel. They demanded to be worshipped like gods. They ate so much food that there was not enough left for regular people. Some stories even say they began to eat humans themselves. The earth became filled with violence and corruption. People forgot about God and began to worship the fallen angels and their giant children. The knowledge that was supposed to help humanity instead led them away from God and into darkness. When God saw what was happening, he was very angry. The Watchers had completely failed in their mission. Instead of protecting humans, they had corrupted them. Instead of helping them grow closer to God, they had led them into sin and rebellion. God decided that the fallen Watchers must be punished. He sent the faithful angels, led by Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel, to deal with the problem. The fallen Watchers were captured and bound with chains. They were imprisoned in dark places under the earth, where they would remain until the final judgment. The giants were more difficult to deal with because they lived on earth among humans. God decided that they would be destroyed in a great flood that would cover the entire earth. Only Noah and his family, who had remained faithful to God, would be saved. But before the flood came, God told Enoch to write down everything that had happened. He wanted future generations to know about the Watchers and their rebellion. He wanted people to understand how knowledge without wisdom can be dangerous. He wanted them to know that spiritual beings who rebel against God will always be punished. Enoch was also told that the influence of the fallen Watchers would not end with the flood. Their evil spirits would continue to affect the world throughout history. In the last days before God's final judgment, their influence would become very strong again. This part of Enoch's story is very important for understanding our world today. Many people believe that we are seeing the influence of these fallen Watchers again in 2024. They point to the rapid advancement of technology, the increase in violence and corruption, and the growing interest in occult practices as signs that the ancient rebellion is affecting our world again. Ancient prophecies of the end times. God showed Enoch many visions about the end times. These were not just general ideas about good eventually winning over evil. Instead, they were specific prophecies about what would happen in the days leading up to God's final judgment of the earth. Enoch saw that there would be several stages to the end times. It would not happen all at once, but would unfold over a period of years. There would be warning signs that would help people understand what was coming. There would be opportunities for people to turn back to God before it was too late. The first sign Enoch saw was that knowledge would greatly increase. People would learn how to do things that had never been possible before. They would create technologies that would seem like magic to earlier generations. This increase in knowledge would happen very quickly, almost overnight in terms of human history. Enoch saw that people would be able to travel very fast across great distances. He saw them flying through the air in machines. He saw them moving across the ground at incredible speeds. He saw them communicating instantly with people on the other side of the world. He also saw that people would create machines that could think and learn like humans. These machines would be able to solve problems, make decisions, and even create art and music. Some of these machines would become so advanced that people would begin to wonder if they were truly alive. But Enoch was shown that this increase in knowledge would be both a blessing and a curse. While it would make life easier in many ways, it would also make people proud and arrogant. They would begin to think they did not need God anymore. They would trust in their own wisdom instead of seeking God's guidance. The second major sign Enoch saw was an increase in wickedness and violence. He saw that people would become very selfish and cruel. They would care only about their own pleasure and comfort. They would be willing to hurt others to get what they wanted. Enoch saw that families would break apart. Children would disobey their parents. Husbands and wives would betray each other. People would have no loyalty or love for anyone except themselves. The bonds that hold society together would begin to break down. He also saw that there would be great violence in the world. Nations would fight against nations. People would kill each other over small disagreements. Wars would break out everywhere, and there would be no peace anywhere on earth. The third sign was that nature itself would begin to change. Enoch saw great disasters happening all over the world. He saw earthquakes that would shake entire continents. He saw storms that would be more powerful than any that had come before. He saw fires that would burn vast areas of land. He saw that the weather would become very strange and unpredictable. Places that were normally hot would become cold. Places that were normally wet would become dry. The seasons would come at the wrong times. Plants and animals would be confused and would not know how to survive. Enoch also saw that there would be signs in the sky. The sun, moon, and stars would appear different than they had before. There would be unusual lights and phenomena that would make people afraid. Some people would interpret these signs correctly, but others would make up false explanations. The fourth sign was a great spiritual awakening. Even though the world would be getting darker and more evil, there would also be many people who would turn to God. They would realize that only God could save them from what was coming. They would begin to pray and seek God's help. Enoch saw that ancient books and prophecies would be rediscovered. People would become very interested in understanding what the prophets had said about the end times. They would study old texts and try to understand what was happening in their world. This spiritual awakening would not be limited to one religion or one part of the world. People everywhere would begin to sense that something big was about to happen. They would feel in their hearts that the world was about to change in a major way. The fifth sign was the appearance of false prophets and teachers. These would be people who claimed to have special knowledge or powers, but who were actually working for the forces of evil. They would deceive many people with their lies and false promises. Some of these false teachers would claim to be messiahs or saviors. They would promise to solve all the world's problems. They would perform signs and wonders that would amaze people. But their real purpose would be to lead people away from the true God. Enoch was shown that these false teachers would be very convincing. Even some people who thought they were faithful to God would be deceived by them. Only those who really knew God's word and stayed close to Him in prayer would be able to tell the difference between truth and lies. The final sign before God's judgment would be a great tribulation, unlike anything the world had ever seen. This would be a time of suffering so terrible that Jesus himself said that if God did not cut it short, no one would survive. During this tribulation, all the problems that had been building up would come to a head at once. There would be wars, disasters, diseases, and persecution of good people. It would seem like evil had completely won, and that there was no hope left. But Enoch was told that this darkest time would also be the signal that God's rescue was about to come. Just when things seemed hopeless, God would step in to save those who had remained faithful to him. The end of the tribulation would mark the beginning of a new and better world. Signs in our world today. As we look at our world in 2024, we can see many things that match the prophecies Enoch wrote about thousands of years ago. It is remarkable how accurately his ancient visions seem to describe our modern world. Let us examine some of these connections. The first and most obvious sign is the incredible increase in knowledge and technology. In just the past 100 years, humans have learned to fly, communicate instantly across the globe, travel to space, and create computers. These are exactly the kinds of things Enoch saw in his visions. When Enoch wrote about people flying through the air like birds, it must have seemed impossible to people who lived thousands of years ago. But today, millions of people fly in airplanes every single day. We take it for granted, but it would have seemed like pure magic to ancient people. Enoch's vision of people communicating instantly across great distances perfectly describes our modern phones and internet. We can talk to someone on the other side of the world as easily as talking to someone in the same room. We can send messages, pictures, and videos anywhere in seconds. The machines that can think like humans that Enoch saw are clearly artificial intelligence systems. In 2024, we have AI that can write stories, create art, solve complex problems, and even have conversations that seem almost human. Some experts worry that AI might soon become smarter than humans themselves. But just as Enoch predicted, this increase in knowledge has made many people proud and arrogant. Instead of thanking God for these amazing abilities, many people think that human intelligence alone created everything. They believe that science has replaced the need for faith in God. The second sign Enoch mentioned was an increase in wickedness and violence. Sadly, we see this everywhere in 2024. Crime rates are high in many cities. Wars are being fought in multiple countries around the world. Terrorism threatens innocent people everywhere. The breakdown of families that Enoch predicted is also very visible today. Divorce rates are high in most developed countries. Many children grow up without both parents. Young people often rebel against their parents and ignore traditional values. The strong family bonds that held society together for thousands of years are weakening. We also see the selfishness that Enoch warned about. Many people today are focused only on their own happiness and success. They care little about helping others or making sacrifices for the good of their community. Social media has made this worse by encouraging people to constantly focus on themselves. The third sign was changes in nature and weather. Climate change is one of the biggest concerns in 2024. Weather patterns are becoming more extreme and unpredictable. We see more powerful hurricanes, longer droughts, more severe floods, and unusual temperature changes. Earthquakes seem to be happening more frequently and in places where they were rare before. Volcanic activity is increasing around the world. Forest fires are burning larger areas and lasting longer than ever before. These natural disasters cause tremendous damage and make people afraid. The fourth sign was a spiritual awakening, and we can see this happening too. More people are becoming interested in prophecy and ancient wisdom. Books about the end times are popular. Many people are searching for spiritual meaning in their lives, even if they do not attend traditional churches. Interest in the Book of Enoch itself has grown tremendously in recent years. People are reading it and comparing its prophecies to current events. Online discussions about Enoch's visions attract millions of participants. This renewed interest in ancient prophecy is exactly what Enoch predicted would happen. The fifth sign was the appearance of false teachers and prophets. We certainly see many people today claiming to have special knowledge or powers. Some claim to be able to predict the future. Others claim to have discovered secrets that will solve all of humanity's problems. Social media has made it easier for false teachers to reach large audiences quickly. They can spread their messages to millions of people without anyone checking whether what they say is true. Many people are deceived because these false teachers are very convincing and promise easy solutions to difficult problems. Some modern false teachers promote ideas that sound spiritual but actually lead people away from God. They teach that humans can become gods themselves through special knowledge or techniques. They promise that technology will eventually solve all problems and make death unnecessary. The signs in the sky that Enoch mentioned are also appearing. People report seeing unusual objects in the sky more frequently than ever before. Governments have admitted that they have been tracking unidentified flying objects for years. Some people interpret these as signs of the end times. There have also been unusual astronomical events in recent years. Solar eclipses, blood moons, and bright comets have appeared at times that some people believe are significant. Whether these are the specific signs Enoch saw or not, they have certainly captured people's attention and made them think about prophecy. Another sign that seems to match Enoch's prophecies is the increasing interest in ancient knowledge and lost civilizations. Archaeologists are discovering new things about ancient peoples that show they were more advanced than we previously thought. This makes people wonder what other knowledge from the past might be important for today. The speed at which all these changes are happening is also significant. Enoch saw that the end times would come quickly, like a flood that rises rapidly. The pace of change in our world has accelerated dramatically in just the past few decades. Things that took centuries to develop in the past now happen in just a few years. Perhaps most importantly, there is a growing sense among many people that something big is about to happen. They may not be able to explain exactly what it is, but they feel that the world is approaching some kind of major turning point. This feeling itself matches what Enoch said people would experience in the last days. Technology and artificial intelligence. One of the most striking aspects of Enoch's prophecies concerns the advanced technology he saw in his visions of the end times. When we compare his ancient descriptions with the technology we have today in 2024, the similarities are remarkable and sometimes even frightening. Enoch wrote about machines that could think and learn like humans. In his time, the most complex machines were simple tools made of stone, wood, and metal. The idea of a machine that could think would have been completely impossible to imagine based on the technology of his day. Yet this is exactly what we have created with artificial intelligence. Today's AI systems can do things that seem almost magical. They can write stories and poems, create beautiful artwork, compose music, and solve complex mathematical problems. They can recognize faces in photographs, translate between languages instantly, and even beat the world's best players at complicated games like chess and Go. But what is even more amazing is how quickly AI has advanced. Just a few years ago, most AI systems could only do very simple tasks. Now, they can have conversations that seem almost human. They can answer questions about almost any topic. They can even write computer programs and design new inventions. Some of the most advanced AI systems in 2024 are so sophisticated that their creators do not fully understand how they work. These systems learn and develop in ways that surprise even the scientists who built them. This raises questions about whether these machines might actually be developing some form of consciousness. Enoch's visions included machines that would serve humans, but might also become dangerous to them. This matches exactly what many AI experts are warning about today. They worry that as AI becomes more powerful, it might make decisions that harm humans, even if that was not its intention. Some scientists warn that we might be approaching what they call the singularity, a point where AI becomes smarter than humans and begins to improve itself faster than we can control. Once this happens, they say, the future becomes completely unpredictable because we cannot understand what such advanced intelligence might do. The speed of technological advancement that Enoch saw is also very evident today. In just the past few decades, we have gone from simple computers to devices that fit in our pockets but are more powerful than room-sized computers from 50 years ago. We have created global communication networks, mapped the human genome, and begun to explore space. But just as Enoch predicted, this rapid advancement in technology has created new problems along with new opportunities. People are becoming addicted to their devices. Children are growing up staring at screens instead of playing outside or learning from their parents. Social media is creating depression and anxiety in many people. The technology that was supposed to bring people together is in many ways driving them apart. Families sit in the same room but ignore each other while they look at their phones. People have hundreds of online friends but feel lonely and isolated. The instant communication that should make us closer has made many people feel more disconnected than ever. Enoch also saw that in the end times, people would become dependent on their machines in dangerous ways. Today, most people cannot function without their smartphones. If the internet went down for just a few days, many businesses would collapse and people would panic. We have created a society that cannot survive without technology. The surveillance technology that exists today would have seemed like magic to ancient people, but it matches descriptions in Enoch's prophecies about a time when people's actions would be constantly watched and recorded. Today, cameras are everywhere. Phones track our movements, and internet companies know more about our personal lives than our own families do. Government agencies can monitor almost everything we do online. They can read our messages, track our purchases, and even listen to our conversations through our devices. This level of surveillance gives those in power unprecedented ability to control people's behavior, just as Enoch warned would happen. Enoch wrote about a time when people would trust in their own wisdom more than in God's guidance. This perfectly describes the attitude of many people toward technology today. They believe that science and technology can solve any problem, including death itself. They think that human intelligence is the highest form of intelligence in the universe. Some technology leaders today openly talk about using AI and other technologies to make humans immortal. They want to upload human consciousness into computers or use genetic engineering to stop aging. They are trying to make themselves into gods, which is exactly the kind of pride and arrogance that Enoch said would characterize the end times. The development of weapons that could destroy entire cities instantly is another prophecy from Enoch that has clearly come true. Nuclear weapons can obliterate huge areas in seconds, killing millions of people. Today, several countries have enough nuclear weapons to destroy all life on Earth multiple times over. But it is not just nuclear weapons that fulfill Enoch's prophecies. We now have cyber weapons that can shut down power grids, disable hospitals, and crash financial systems. We have biological weapons that could spread diseases faster and farther than any natural plague. We have space weapons that could destroy satellites and cripple global communications. The automation of warfare through drones and AI-controlled weapons systems means that future wars might be fought entirely by machines. This creates the terrifying possibility of conflicts that escalate beyond human control, with AI systems making life and death decisions without human oversight. Perhaps most concerning is how these technologies are being developed and deployed without sufficient consideration of their long-term consequences. Just as the fallen watchers in Enoch's time gave humans knowledge they were not ready to handle responsibly, today's technological advances are happening faster than our wisdom to use them properly. Many of the people creating these powerful technologies are not asking important questions about whether they should be created at all. They are focused on whether they can build something, not whether they should build it. This lack of moral consideration is exactly what Enoch warned would happen when human knowledge increased rapidly without a corresponding increase in wisdom and fear of God. Natural disasters and climate change. Enoch's visions of the end times included many prophecies about changes in the natural world. He saw great disasters that would shake the earth and frighten people everywhere. He saw weather patterns that would become strange and unpredictable. He saw the very foundations of the earth being disturbed. When we look at what is happening to our planet in 2024, it is clear that many of these ancient prophecies are being fulfilled right before our eyes. The Earth is experiencing changes that are unlike anything in recent human history, and these changes are accelerating at an alarming rate. Climate change is probably the most obvious fulfillment of Enoch's prophecies about the Earth being troubled in the last days. Global temperatures are rising faster than they have in thousands of years. This warming is causing ice caps to melt, sea levels to rise, and weather patterns to shift in dramatic ways. The extreme weather events that Enoch saw in his visions are becoming more common and more severe every year. Hurricanes are getting stronger and causing more damage than ever before. Heat waves are breaking temperature records regularly. Droughts are lasting longer and affecting larger areas. In 2024, we are seeing once-in-a-lifetime weather events happening multiple times per year. Floods that were supposed to be so rare they might happen only once in 100 years are now occurring every few years in some places. This matches Enoch's prophecy that the normal patterns of nature would be disrupted. Forest fires have become particularly devastating, burning millions of acres and destroying entire communities. These fires are not just larger than in the past, they are also behaving in ways that surprise even experienced firefighters. They burn hotter, spread faster, and create their own weather systems. The smoke from these massive fires travels across continents, darkening the sky in places thousands of miles away. This creates scenes that look almost apocalyptic, with the sun appearing red or orange even during the day. These images remind many people of biblical prophecies about the sun being darkened in the last days. Earthquakes are another natural disaster that Enoch predicted would increase in the end times. While scientists debate whether earthquakes are actually becoming more frequent, there is no doubt that they are affecting more people than ever before as populations grow in earthquake-prone areas. Recent major earthquakes have killed hundreds of thousands of people and caused damage that takes years to repair. The 2024 earthquake in Turkey and Syria was particularly devastating, destroying entire cities and leaving millions of people homeless. Such disasters create human suffering on a scale that is hard to comprehend. Volcanic activity is also increasing around the world. Volcanoes that have been dormant for centuries are becoming active again. When large volcanoes erupt, they can affect weather patterns around the globe by filling the atmosphere with ash and gases that block sunlight. The Ring of Fire, a chain of volcanoes around the Pacific Ocean, has been particularly active in recent years. Scientists worry that a major eruption from one of the supervolcanoes in this region could cause global cooling and crop failures that would affect billions of people. Ocean changes are another area where we see Enoch's prophecies being fulfilled. He wrote about the seas being troubled and about changes in the waters of the earth. Today, our oceans are becoming more acidic due to absorbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. This is killing coral reefs and affecting the entire ocean food chain. Ocean currents that have been stable for thousands of years are beginning to shift. The Gulf Stream, which keeps Europe warmer than it would otherwise be, is showing signs of weakening. If this current system collapses, it could cause dramatic climate changes across the entire North Atlantic region. Marine life is dying in unprecedented numbers. Mass die-offs of fish, whales, dolphins, and other sea creatures are being reported regularly. Dead zones in the ocean, where pollution has removed all the oxygen, are growing larger each year. These changes to ocean ecosystems affect the entire planet. The timing of seasons is changing in ways that disrupt both natural ecosystems and human agriculture. Spring is coming earlier in many places, confusing plants and animals that depend on consistent seasonal patterns. Some areas are experiencing longer summers and shorter winters, while others see the opposite pattern. These changes are not just inconvenient, they are threatening food security around the world. Crops are failing because the weather is not following the patterns that farmers have relied on for generations. This is leading to food shortages and higher prices that hurt the poorest people most. Enoch also prophesied about changes in the sky and atmospheric phenomena. Today, we are seeing unusual cloud formations, strange light displays, and other atmospheric events that people have never seen before. Some of these are caused by pollution and climate change, while others remain unexplained. The northern lights, which used to be seen only in polar regions, are now appearing much farther south than normal. Solar flares and magnetic storms are affecting satellites and power grids more frequently. These space weather events can disrupt modern technology that we depend on for communication and navigation. Air pollution in many parts of the world has become so severe that it affects human health on a massive scale. Cities in China and India regularly experience air quality that is literally off the charts. People wear masks just to go outside, and children develop breathing problems from the polluted air. The loss of biodiversity is another sign that matches Enoch's prophecies about the natural world being in distress. Species are going extinct at a rate not seen since the extinction of the dinosaurs. Scientists estimate that we are losing plant and animal species faster than new ones can be discovered. Forests that have existed for thousands of years are being cleared so rapidly that they may disappear entirely within a few decades. The Amazon rainforest, which produces much of the world's oxygen, is being cut down at an alarming rate. This deforestation is contributing to climate change and destroying the homes of countless species. What makes all these changes especially significant is that they are happening simultaneously and reinforcing each other. Climate change makes natural disasters worse. Natural disasters damage ecosystems. Damaged ecosystems cannot absorb carbon dioxide as effectively, which makes climate change worse. This creates a cycle of destruction that is very difficult to stop. Many scientists are now warning that we may be approaching what they call tipping points in the Earth's climate system. These are points where small changes can trigger much larger changes that cannot be reversed. Once these tipping points are crossed, the Earth's climate could change rapidly and dramatically. Perhaps most importantly, these environmental changes are creating the conditions for exactly the kind of global crisis that Enoch predicted would characterize the end times. They are causing conflicts over resources, forcing millions of people to migrate, and creating suffering on a scale that threatens the stability of entire societies. Wars and conflicts around the world. Enoch saw visions of a time when wars would break out everywhere and peace would be taken from the earth. He prophesied that nations would fight against nations and that violence would fill the world. As we look at 2024, we can see these prophecies being fulfilled in remarkable and troubling ways. The war in Ukraine that began in 2022 has become one of the largest and most destructive conflicts in Europe since World War II. Millions of people have been forced to flee their homes. Entire cities have been destroyed. The fighting has disrupted food and energy supplies around the world, affecting people far from the battlefield. This war is significant, not just because of its size and destruction, but because it involves nuclear powers. Both Russia and Ukraine have nuclear weapons or nuclear facilities, raising the frightening possibility that the conflict could escalate beyond conventional warfare. The threat of nuclear war has not been this high since the Cold War. In the Middle East, conflicts that have lasted for decades continue to create suffering and instability. The situation in Israel and Palestine remains explosive, with regular outbreaks of violence that kill innocent people on both sides. These conflicts have deep religious and historical roots that make them very difficult to resolve. The civil war in Syria has displaced millions of people and destroyed much of the country. Despite officially ending, fighting continues in many areas. The refugee crisis created by this war has affected countries throughout Europe and the Middle East, creating political tensions and social problems far from Syria itself. Africa is experiencing numerous conflicts that receive less attention from the world media, but cause tremendous suffering. Wars in Ethiopia, Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and other countries have killed hundreds of thousands of people and left millions more in desperate need of food and medical care. What makes these modern wars especially devastating is the advanced weapons that are now being used. Drones can strike targets with precision from thousands of miles away. Cyber attacks can disable critical infrastructure without firing a single bullet. Chemical and biological weapons can cause mass casualties that are impossible to treat. The nature of warfare has changed in ways that make Enoch's prophecies even more relevant. Modern conflicts are not just between armies on battlefields. They involve attacks on civilians, infrastructure, and the environment. They use information warfare and propaganda to turn people against each other. Terrorism continues to threaten innocent people around the world. Terrorist groups use social media to recruit followers and spread their violent messages. They can inspire attacks anywhere in the world with just a few words posted online. This creates a constant state of fear and anxiety in many societies. The proliferation of nuclear weapons is perhaps the most frightening aspect of modern conflicts. More countries now have nuclear weapons than ever before. Some of these countries are politically unstable or led by unpredictable leaders. The possibility that nuclear weapons could be used in a regional conflict is higher than it has been in decades. Even countries that are not officially at war are experiencing high levels of violence and conflict. Crime rates in many cities around the world have reached alarming levels. Drug cartels control large areas of some countries and fight wars against each other and against government forces. Political polarization within countries is creating conditions that could lead to civil wars. In many nations, different political groups see each other as enemies rather than fellow citizens with different opinions. This kind of division makes it very difficult to address problems peacefully through normal democratic processes. The economic disruption caused by conflicts is affecting the entire world. War disrupts trade routes, destroys infrastructure, and forces governments to spend money on weapons instead of helping their people. The global economy has become so interconnected that conflicts anywhere can have effects everywhere. Food insecurity caused by wars is creating humanitarian crises on multiple continents. When conflicts prevent farmers from planting crops or destroy transportation networks, millions of people can face starvation. Climate change makes these problems worse by making some areas unsuitable for agriculture. The refugee crisis, created by modern conflicts, is unprecedented in human history. Tens of millions of people have been forced to leave their homes because of war, persecution, or natural disasters. These massive population movements create stress on the countries that receive refugees and can lead to new conflicts. Water scarcity is becoming a source of conflict in many parts of the world. As rivers dry up and groundwater is depleted, countries and communities fight over access to this most basic necessity of life. Some experts predict that future wars will be fought over water rather than oil or territory. The psychological impact of constant conflict and the threat of violence is affecting people's mental health on a global scale. Even people who live far from war zones are affected by the constant news of violence and suffering. This creates anxiety and depression that can lead to more social problems. Enoch's prophecy that peace would be taken from the earth seems to be literally fulfilled in our time. There is no place on earth where people can feel completely safe from violence. Even in the most peaceful countries, people worry about terrorism, cyber attacks, or the effects of conflicts happening elsewhere. The arms trade has become one of the largest industries in the world. Countries spend trillions of dollars on weapons, while their people lack basic necessities like clean water, food, and medical care. This massive investment in the tools of war shows that nations expect conflicts to continue and worsen. International institutions that were created to prevent wars and maintain peace are struggling to deal with modern conflicts. The United Nations and other organizations often seem powerless to stop violence or even to provide adequate humanitarian aid to those who need it most. Perhaps most troubling is that many conflicts today involve religious or ethnic hatred that makes compromise very difficult. When people believe that God wants them to fight their enemies, they are less likely to seek peaceful solutions. This religious dimension to modern conflicts matches Enoch's prophecies about the spiritual nature of end times warfare. The speed with which conflicts can now escalate and spread is also unprecedented. Social media can turn a local incident into a global crisis within hours. Modern transportation allows weapons and fighters to move quickly from one conflict zone to another. This makes it very difficult to contain conflicts once they begin. What we are seeing in 2024 is not just an increase in the number of conflicts, but a change in the nature of conflict itself. Wars are more complex, more destructive, and more difficult to resolve than ever before. They affect more people and last longer than traditional wars between nations. This matches exactly what Enoch saw in his visions of the end times. He prophesied not just that there would be wars, but that these wars would be different from any that had come before. They would involve the whole world and would create suffering on a scale that had never been seen in human history. Spiritual awakening and consciousness shift. While Enoch's prophecies include many warnings about dark times ahead, they also contain hope. He saw that even in the midst of great troubles, there would be a spiritual awakening. People all over the world would begin to seek God and search for deeper meaning in their lives. This awakening is clearly happening in our world today. One of the most remarkable signs of this spiritual awakening is the renewed interest in ancient prophecies and wisdom texts. Books like the Book of Enoch, which were nearly forgotten for centuries, are now being read by millions of people. Online discussions about biblical prophecy attract huge audiences from every country on earth. People are not just reading these ancient texts out of curiosity. They are studying them seriously because they sense that these old writings contain important information about what is happening in our world today. They recognize that ancient prophets saw things that are relevant to our current situation. This interest in prophecy is not limited to traditional religious communities. Many people who do not attend church or consider themselves religious are nevertheless drawn to prophetic literature. They may not believe in God in a traditional sense, but they sense that there are spiritual dimensions to current events that cannot be explained by science alone. Prayer and meditation are becoming more popular, even among people who were previously skeptical of such practices. Meditation apps have millions of users. Prayer groups are forming in workplaces and schools. People are seeking ways to connect with something greater than themselves. There is also a growing recognition that human beings are more than just physical bodies. Interest in near-death experiences, spiritual healing, and consciousness research is increasing rapidly. Scientists are beginning to study phenomena that they previously ignored because they could not explain them with traditional materialistic theories. Many people report having prophetic dreams and visions themselves. They dream about future events that later come true. They have spiritual experiences that change their understanding of reality. They feel called to warn others about what is coming or to help people prepare spiritually for difficult times ahead. The internet has made it possible for people with similar spiritual interests to find each other and form communities, even if they live far apart. Online groups focused on prophecy, spiritual preparation, and consciousness research have members from every continent. This global network of spiritually awakened people is unprecedented in human history. There is a growing sense among many people that we are living in a very special time in human history. They feel that they have been born at this particular moment for a specific purpose. This sense of destiny and calling is leading many people to make significant changes in their lives. People are leaving high-paying jobs to pursue work that feels more meaningful to them. They are moving away from cities to live closer to nature. They are simplifying their lives and focusing on relationships and spiritual growth rather than material success. This represents a major shift in values for many people. Alternative healing methods are becoming more accepted and widely used. People are turning to natural remedies, energy healing, and spiritual counseling in addition to or instead of conventional medicine. They are recognizing that healing involves more than just treating physical symptoms. There is also an increased interest in understanding different religious and spiritual traditions. People are reading about Buddhism, Hinduism, Native American spirituality, and other traditions that they might have ignored in the past. They are looking for common themes and universal truths that appear in different forms across cultures. Many people are reporting increased psychic and intuitive abilities. They have stronger gut feelings about people and situations. They are more sensitive to energy and atmosphere. They seem to know things without being told. This increase in intuitive ability matches what Enoch predicted would happen as the end times approached. The environmental movement has taken on spiritual dimensions that go beyond just wanting to protect nature for practical reasons. Many people now see the earth as a living being that deserves respect and care. They feel a spiritual connection to animals, plants, and natural places that influences how they live their daily lives. Charitable giving and volunteer work are increasing, especially among younger people. Despite economic difficulties, many people are choosing to help others rather than focusing only on their own problems. This represents a shift toward more compassionate and service-oriented values. Art, music, and literature are increasingly exploring spiritual themes. Musicians write songs about prophecy and spiritual awakening. Artists create works that express their visions of spiritual realities. Writers explore themes of consciousness, divine purpose, and the meaning of current events. There is a growing recognition that the problems facing humanity cannot be solved through technology and politics alone. More people understand that lasting solutions require changes in human consciousness and values. They see that spiritual transformation is necessary for solving practical problems. Many people are experiencing what they describe as downloads or revelations of spiritual information. They suddenly understand things about reality, purpose, and divine plans that they had never thought about before. These experiences often come during meditation, prayer, or quiet contemplation. The concept of ascending or evolving to higher levels of consciousness is becoming widely accepted. People believe that humanity is going through a collective spiritual evolution that will result in enhanced abilities and understanding. This matches Enoch's prophecies about the righteous being transformed in the end times. Traditional religious institutions are being challenged to become more relevant and authentic. People are demanding that churches and other religious organizations address current events from a prophetic perspective. They want spiritual leaders who can help them understand what is happening in the world from a divine viewpoint. Interfaith cooperation is increasing as people recognize that the spiritual challenges of our time require all religious people to work together. Christians, Jews, Muslims, and others are finding common ground in their concern about moral decline and their hope for spiritual renewal. Young people, who are often characterized as being uninterested in religion, are actually showing high levels of spiritual seeking. They may reject traditional religious institutions, but they are very interested in personal spiritual experiences and ancient wisdom. They are often the most active participants in online prophetic discussions. There is also a growing understanding that individual spiritual awakening and global transformation are connected. People realize that as they change internally, they contribute to positive changes in the world. This has led to a focus on personal spiritual development as a form of service to humanity. The timing of this spiritual awakening is significant. It is happening at exactly the same time as the other signs that Enoch prophesied about. This suggests that the awakening is not accidental, but is part of God's plan for these times. It provides hope that even in dark times, spiritual light is increasing. Perhaps most importantly, this spiritual awakening is giving people the wisdom and strength they need to navigate the challenging times we are living in. Those who are spiritually awake are less likely to be deceived by false teachers. They are more likely to make good decisions during crises. They provide stability and hope for others who are afraid and confused. The final judgment and new beginning. Enoch's visions were not only about the troubles that would come upon the earth. He also saw what would happen after these dark times ended. He saw God's final judgment of all evil and the beginning of a new and perfect world. These prophecies give us hope that no matter how bad things might get, God has a plan for ultimate victory over evil. In his visions, Enoch saw that there would come a time when God would say, "Enough," to all the evil and suffering in the world. All the wicked angels who had rebelled against God would be brought to trial. All the evil people who had caused suffering would face justice. All the systems and institutions that had oppressed the innocent would be destroyed. This final judgment would not be like human courts, where sometimes guilty people escape punishment and innocent people are convicted. God sees everything and knows the truth about every person's heart and actions. His judgment would be perfectly fair and completely final. The fallen watchers who had corrupted humanity in the early days of the world would finally receive their ultimate punishment. They had been imprisoned under the earth since the time of the flood, but they would be brought out for final sentencing. Their influence on the world would be ended forever. All the evil spirits that had been tormenting humanity throughout history would also be judged and punished. The demons that had been causing mental illness, addiction, violence, and other problems would be cast into a place where they could never hurt anyone again. Human beings would also face judgment, but Enoch saw that God's judgment would be based on mercy as well as justice. Those who had truly tried to do good and had sought God with sincere hearts would be forgiven for their mistakes and welcomed into the new world that God would create. However, those who had deliberately chosen evil and had refused to repent, even when given many chances, would face eternal punishment. This would include not only obviously evil people like murderers and tyrants, but also those who had led others away from God through false teaching and deception. Enoch saw that before this final judgment, there would be a great separation between good and evil people. Those who belonged to God would be protected from the worst of the judgments that would fall on the earth. They would be like Noah's family, who were saved from the flood, while the wicked were destroyed. This protection would not necessarily mean that good people would avoid all suffering. Many would face persecution and hardship because of their faith, but they would be given supernatural strength to endure these trials, and they would know that their suffering was temporary, while their reward would be eternal. The earth itself would be purified during this time of judgment. All the pollution and corruption that had accumulated over thousands of years would be burned away. The very atoms and molecules of the planet would be cleansed and renewed. Nature would be restored to its original perfection. After the judgment was complete, Enoch saw a new heaven and a new earth that would be created. This would not just be the old world repaired, but a completely new creation that would be far better than anything that had existed before. It would be a place where nothing evil could ever enter. In this new world, there would be no more death, disease, or aging. People would live forever in perfect health and happiness. There would be no more wars, crime, or violence of any kind. The lion would lie down with the lamb, and nothing would hurt or destroy anything else. The righteous people who had lived faithfully during the dark times would be given new bodies that were immortal and incorruptible. They would have abilities that far exceeded anything humans had ever experienced. They would be able to travel instantly anywhere they wanted to go. They would have perfect knowledge and understanding. Enoch saw that in this new world, people would have direct access to God. There would be no need for priests or intermediaries, because everyone would be able to speak with God face to face. The barrier between heaven and earth that had existed since Adam and Eve's sin would be removed forever. The new earth would be incredibly beautiful, with perfect weather, abundant food, and magnificent landscapes. Cities would be built of precious stones and metals. Rivers would flow with the water of life. Trees would bear fruit every month, and their leaves would provide healing for any remaining effects of the old world's corruption. Animals would be restored to their original peaceful nature. There would be no predators or prey, because nothing would need to kill anything else for food. All creatures would live in harmony with each other and with humans. Even the most fearsome animals from the old world would become gentle and friendly. Work in the new world would be joyful and fulfilling rather than difficult and frustrating. People would build houses and actually get to live in them permanently. They would plant vineyards and enjoy the fruit of their labor. Everything they did would succeed and bring satisfaction. Families would be reunited and would never be separated again. Children would never be orphaned. Spouses would never be widowed. Parents would never have to bury their children. The pain of loss and separation that had caused so much grief in the old world would be completely eliminated. Learning and discovery would continue in the new world, but without the frustration and limitations that had made education difficult in the old world. People would be able to understand complex concepts easily. They would have access to all knowledge and would be able to explore the universe freely. The new world would be governed by perfect justice and righteousness. There would be no corrupt politicians, unfair laws, or oppressive systems. Everyone would be treated with complete fairness and respect. Peace and harmony would reign everywhere. Enoch saw that the transformation from the old world to the new world would happen relatively quickly once God's judgment began. Although the time of trouble might seem long to those living through it, from God's perspective, it would be just a brief moment before the eternal age of peace and joy began. Most importantly, Enoch was shown that this new world was not just a distant dream, but a certain reality. God had already planned every detail and set the time when it would happen. Nothing could prevent it from coming to pass, no matter how powerful the forces of evil might seem to be. This vision of the final judgment and new beginning was meant to give hope to people living in the dark times that would precede it. No matter how bad things might get, those who remained faithful to God could be certain that their suffering was temporary, while their reward would be eternal and perfect. Ancient wisdom for modern times. As we come to the end of our journey through Enoch's visions and their connection to our world in 2024, it is important to ask what this ancient wisdom means for us today. How should we live our lives if Enoch's prophecies are indeed being fulfilled in our time? What can we learn from this remarkable man who walked with God thousands of years ago? First, and most importantly, Enoch's story teaches us that we should take our relationship with God seriously. Enoch became so close to God that God shared his deepest secrets with him and eventually took him to heaven without dying. This was not because Enoch was perfect, but because he chose to spend time with God and listen to what God wanted to tell him. In our busy modern world, it is easy to get distracted by work, entertainment, and social media. We can go days without really thinking about God or trying to hear what he might want to say to us. But Enoch's example shows us that the most important thing we can do is develop a close relationship with our Creator. This means setting aside time each day for prayer and meditation. It means reading and studying the scriptures to understand God's character and plans. It means learning to recognize God's voice when He speaks to our hearts. It means making decisions based on what pleases God, rather than what pleases other people or ourselves. Second, Enoch's prophecies teach us the importance of being prepared spiritually for difficult times. Enoch saw that the end times would be challenging for everyone, but especially for those who were not ready spiritually. Those who had strong faith and close relationships with God would be able to endure hardships that would overwhelm others. Spiritual preparation involves more than just believing the right things about God. It requires developing character qualities like patience, courage, compassion, and wisdom. It means learning to trust God even when circumstances seem hopeless. It means building habits of prayer, study, and service that will sustain us during crises. We cannot wait until the crisis arrives to begin this spiritual preparation. Just as we cannot learn to swim while we are drowning, we cannot develop spiritual strength while we are in the middle of a spiritual emergency. The time to prepare is now, while we still have peace and opportunity. Third, Enoch's visions remind us that we should not put our ultimate trust in human institutions, technology, or wisdom. All of these things will fail when the final testing comes. Only those who have built their lives on the solid foundation of God's truth and love will be able to stand firm when everything else is shaking. This does not mean we should reject all human knowledge or refuse to use technology, but it does mean we should recognize their limitations and not expect them to solve all our problems. The answers to humanity's deepest needs are spiritual, not technical. Fourth, Enoch's story teaches us the importance of warning others about what is coming. After Enoch received his visions, he did not keep them to himself. He preached to people in his generation, warning them about God's judgment and encouraging them to repent. He wrote down his visions so that future generations would also be warned.